Hey everyone, your coaches are here to talk again about the upcoming habit. And this one is called Practice Leaving Space. Today we've got Tony in the house.
Hello.
We've got Coach Jillian, Coach Kate, and myself, Coach Lisanne. And so I'll just start out by introducing Practice Leaving Space. It might sound really familiar or not. That foundational habit of eating to 80% full, where we had you focus on eating to 80%. And for many people, that can be hard to quantify because there's this percentage number and there's a number and it's very analytical. And so another way of framing this habit, also known as hara hachi bu in the Okinawan culture, right? Mm-hmm. Is this idea of leaving space. And so for me, leaving space is about feeling comfortable in your body after you've eaten. And specifically, like, I just always imagine someone is going to whisk me away from the dinner table and ask me to dance. Mm-hmm. And so, you don't want to dance when your tummy's all full. You got to leave some space to have some fun. So that's my take on leaving space.
Yeah, I think I agree with Lisanne. Like, for me, it is about I'm leaving space for the next activity or the next event, or even it doesn't have to be something physically active, but just the next thing in my life, right? I'm opening the door to the next moment and accepting that. So I like the idea of leaving space, and I leave the table comfortable in my body. I'm not leaving the table starving, right? Like, we're not asking you to undereat. And I think that it's a good reminder to always remember that. A lot of times we approach 80% full thinking, well, that means I'm undereating. This is where we start to attach, oh, I'm dieting again. No, you are not dieting. You're eating enough to satisfy your body, but you're leaving space for the next thing that comes along as well.
It's a great description that Lisanne brought up. It's like eat so you can dance after. Yeah. And I love using just like kids as a model, because a lot of, if anyone, like you guys have kids and a lot of our clients have kids, they're in a lot of sports activities. Mm-hmm. And they often come in after school and they have an hour or hour and a half before they have to go to soccer practice. And if you watch them eat, right? Like, so hopefully they sit down to table and actually manage to get something down, but they would never eat like a huge meal because they know they're off to a soccer practice in 90 minutes. So the way I think about it is that when I eat a meal, I should be able to go to the gym within an hour to 90 minutes within that meal. And that really helps, because I also notice when I eat to 100% or more at like a Thanksgiving meal or that occasion when there's clearly more food than usual. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, yeah, there's no way I can be at the gym in an hour, right? Like it's very clear line in my head that really helps me. So I think that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so taking the awareness back to finding that around 80% level, similar stuff to what we covered earlier in the year. And I just looked back, and if you are interested in seeing some of the stuff from earlier in the year, February 13th to 26th was when we covered this habit initially. So now we'll bring it back to the forefront and see what we can do with it this time, level 2. And within this habit, you're going to see a couple of different things. You're going to see a couple of experiment days coming up over the next couple weeks.
What would you say, guys? Think of the conversations we've had over the years with our clients when talking about 80% full or leaving space. Something that comes to mind for me is there's a discomfort we're asking people to take on here a bit, right? Like, you don't get that totally satisfied, you'll sit back in your chair and want to nod off because you've eaten so much anymore. When we're practicing eating in a different way. So I just remember that there's some discomfort that's come up in conversation. Anything else that you can think of that you remember clients sort of maybe complaining about or struggling with around this habit?
A couple of things here, Lisanne. So first of all, I find that for folks that often struggle with overeating and binging especially, 80% may be quite triggering because of that kind of discomfort and almost like feeling of deprivation. So I find that if you are at all in that boat, and maybe you're just in that boat occasionally, so finding yourself in that headspace, it may be helpful to really focus on honing the 100% rather than 80 as a stepping stone, because the goal is maybe if you're eating to 120, 150% at some meals, then the goal there would be to simply find the 100 and to find that kind of sense that you were talking about, the completely satisfied, like I ate and I'm completely satisfied but not stuffed. And the other piece, I find that some people don't necessarily find their body manifesting the hunger signals that are stereotypically hungry. So clients may describe just not feeling hungry, and then what are they supposed to do, right? Like, so, and I encourage to think outside the box a little bit, because I'm thinking of a client and the conversations I've had where this woman was telling me how she really doesn't experience hunger, but when we dug into it, she actually realized that her energy level goes up and down throughout the day. And I said, well, I think that's your hunger, right? It's like, well, I don't get hungry. I just feel like really weak and dizzy. It's like, that sounds pretty hungry to me, right? It just doesn't reside in your tummy necessarily. So thinking outside the box when we're paying attention to those hunger cues as well.
That's great.
I think that's good. So before we wrap things up, though, I think we need to, Jillian mentioned some experiment days that are going to be within this habit. And on the first Thursday of this habit, you're going to have an opportunity to experience with a low fat day or a low carb day. And you guys get to choose what that looks like for you. And this has been fun. We've had some fun with this in the past. Remember, experiment days are meant to help create further awareness. What happens to my body? How do I feel? What is my mood? How do I perform in the gym if I go low fat or if I choose to go low carb? Am I hungrier later in the day if I don't have fats early in my day? Am I performing less in the gym if I choose no carbs? Your body specifically, you are unique, and whatever you choose to experiment with, you might have a different experience than somebody else on the team. So don't look to compare directly with somebody, but really choose the avenue that you think you might learn the most about your body from. And when we do these habits, we are not saying, or these challenges, we are not saying that you continue to do them. Again, this is all about awareness and how you feel when you do that. What do you guys have? Anything to say? Any specific things you'd have people look out for low fat or low carb day?
Don't
play.
do both
Just
at
play.
the same time.
Don't do them. Yeah, don't do them both at the same time. That would be bad. Okay. Just play.
I'd also encourage. Go ahead, Lizanne.
No, I was just going to say to play with the idea of it. What might that feel like for you? Stay curious about what can you do? What do you choose to do here? Versus you have to do it, and if you didn't do it, then you failed. No. Play with one or the other. Sorry, Kate, I didn't mean to talk. We're talking at the same time.
No. So the experimentation idea, and I think that's kind of right up what I was going to say is it's essentially it's an arbitrary restriction that allows you to be creative, right? It's kind of like writing haiku. So if I had to write in this format, what could I come up with? Because I can't just throw words on the page. So let's imagine you for whatever random reason, you couldn't use fat in your breakfast, right? Or you didn't have access to dietary fat. So what would you have for breakfast, right? And I think that's really what Lizanne was getting at with the play notion. And I'd also encourage you to consider picking the opposite of where you're leaning, right? So if you maybe grew up in very much the anti-fat age, I encourage you to try the low carb instead so you can keep those fats in. And if you tend to be a little bit more of a carbophobe, and I'm raising my hand here, if I don't pay attention, I'm carbophobic camp sometimes, then maybe try the other one. Try the low fat experiment day and see what that feels like.
Yeah, I think those are good. Good points. It is an experiment. I think that's really important. And if you can't do it on Thursday, like Lisanne said, don't get caught up in the rules of this. Like, okay, who cares? Pick a day within the next like week or so and do it then. You didn't fail because you didn't do it on Thursday. Choose another day, do it when it works for you, plan for it if you need to, but just know that is coming.
That's
on
awesome.
the second week, the second Thursday of this habit, you are going to have another experiment, which is a fasting day. And if you have any previous eating disorders, or you feel like fasting is going to trigger something for you, you can absolutely opt out of this and just choose a different experiment for yourself and say yes to your card that day if you've intentionally chosen something else, if fasting isn't for you. But let's say fasting is for you, and what should clients look out for on this day? What would you suggest?
Make sure to drink water, more water than you normally do on fasting day.
And I find, I remember when I go through this, I choose to fast like I'm trying to remember, is it before dinner? Like I'll do a 24-hour, so I won't have dinner one night and then I won't eat until dinner the next night. That's my 24-hour. I find that the easiest way. How about you guys? Have you found
I did the same thing. Yeah,
I
I just
do the
kind of
exact same thing.
psychologically easy because you wake up in the morning and like half of it is done already, so it's not as bad. So for sure.
And definitely not when you have social engagements or you're under a lot of stress, or if there's any other big things going on in your life. Plan this one for when you have more time, less stress to take on it, because it is a stress when you're fasting. It is a stress to your body and your mind. So give yourself the space to take on, like you get to opt into it if you want to.
Don't choose your highest intensity workout for this lesson. Okay. Like choose something different. So enjoy, have fun, experiment. Let's talk more about fasting. If you have questions about it, definitely reach out to one of us, reach out to your Facebook team. But we just hope you enjoy dialing back into your 80% full habit and having fun on your experiment days. So thanks everyone. Bye guys. Have fun.
Bye guys.
Bye.